friends, welcome to Garden Love. I'm so excited to wake up this morning and see my wonderful garden. It's such a beautiful day. I decided to come and inspect my garden and see what I have going on, what's blooming, what's growing, and what I'll be harvesting here pretty soon. Today we're going to be adding some new raised beds from a recycle boxes that was given to me, and I decided to put it on top of one of my concrete slabs so I can maximize my space. As you can see here, I decided to put plastic under these boxes just to see if it could prevent the staining of the concrete. It might not even help it might even make it worse, but that's what I decided to do for now. I guess time will tell. This might be only for this growing season, considering what's going on in the world. I wanted to add as much growing space as possible. These boxes were given to me and I thought they were perfect for what I need to use them. I went ahead and make sure that they look nice, of course, and then on this particular box I went ahead and added a little bit of plastic just because the holes at the bottom were way too big and all the soil was just going to drain down. So for that reason I did add a piece of plastic. I did make some holes on it before I added the soil. So I went ahead and just add regular raised bed potting soil to these raised beds. Now I'm over here struggling trying to get the plastic. I accidentally poured the soil on top of it, but now I think it's gonna be fine. So I went ahead and used one of these bags. Actually, one of these bags, I took one of these raised bed bags for each one of these boxes. What I'm going to be growing here is some zucchini, some basil, some pretty simple things. I'm not going to overflow these boxes, but I am going to try to grow as much as I can. Now, for some of you guys who don't think that have enough space to grow, this might be the perfect solution. As you can see, I put it here on top of my concrete, and as long as you get some sun, you should be fine. And you will be able to grow some food, and this is the perfect time to start your garden, guys. I mean, it doesn't take much. As you can see, this is an easy solution for those of you who don't have any space. You guys who have been following me for a while, you guys already know that I don't have a lot of space to begin with, but I am maximizing the space that I have and growing as much as I can. I have tons of fruit trees in containers, and some of them are on wheels so I can move them around when it's necessary. These are not permanent, which is perfect, because if the whatever I decide to grow on here doesn't work out, I know that I can move them around somewhere else, or I just might not need them next year, or there's just endless possibilities you can do when you can just move something out of the way and put it somewhere else. As you can see, these containers are filled. It took one bag for each container. Now that I broke down all the soil, I'm gonna go ahead and water the soil before I plant in it. I went and add a little bit of fertilizer so that way the soil is ready for my plants, and I water it all down here so that way everything's nice and moist for the plants. It is a warm day here, so I want to make sure that my plants don't go into shock. And of course I can water this without watering my amazing nectarine tree. Now I had some leftover onions and I just decided to stick them in here just because I had so many from last time I did planting, and I just wanted to make use of them. I'm not sure how well they're gonna do here, but hey, since I have them, I might as well stick them in the ground. I also put some more ginger here to see how well it does here. I'm just sticking ginger everywhere and trying to figure out where it's going to grow best in my garden. I am going to use some of the plants that I grew from seeds to put in here, like my basil. I have kale, zucchini, and squash. But as you guys can see, I'm continuing to add the garlic everywhere in this container. And these are the plants that I grew from seeds indoors. I had already had them outdoors for about a week, hardening them off, and I think they're ready to go in these raised beds. I really hope this video encourages you guys to see that you can really grow food just about anywhere. You can grow them in containers. These boxes, I didn't personally build them, but they are pretty easy to build. All you need is some nails and some pieces of wood, cut them to size, and you can have exactly what I have going on here. Thankfully, these were gifted to me. They're a little old, but I think they'll be fine just for this growing season. I can try to rebuild some for the next growing season. I'm also gonna add some containers. Well, actually, I shouldn't say add because I've had them for a long time in the front of my yard, but I've never planted anything. I think now is the best time to start growing some more food, and I'm gonna use those metal containers that I had built last year or the year prior to that. So I'm very excited about that. I'll show you guys in just a second. Because I thought I had completed my garden a while ago, and as you guys can see here, I'm continuing to add to my garden in my growing space in my very small limited garden, and somehow I'm finding space to grow every time I look, and this was the perfect solution to add some more space to grow. Now I have some leftover warm tea, so I'm going to use it for these little vegetables. I'm just going to pour it in this watering can, fill it up with water, and pour it onto my raised beds that I just completed. Another project that I decided to do is basically just add some stepping stones to this little section of my garden. As you guys can see, my husband already loosened up the soil and is patting it down. That way it's even. I didn't do this as professional as I probably should have, but it really doesn't matter. I just need to have some stepping stones, so when I am watering, my feet aren't getting full of mud, which would be perfect just to add some stepping stones. I did add some sand here, that way I can level the soil as much as possible, and then I'm just going to add the stepping stones towards my satsuma tree all the way at the end. As you guys can see where that ladder is at, unfortunately I don't have any other room to put that huge ladder, so it's just gonna have to be part of my garden. But I think adding these stepping stones are the perfect addition to this section of my garden, because not only does it make it look beautiful, it adds functionality to it, and also it will help preserve some of the moisture in the soil by having these over them. Now another thing I decided to do is I've added some marigolds to my garden. That way we can have a little bit of flowers that the bees can benefit from, and it can attract the pollinators, and also it can add a little bit of beauty to my garden, because I tend to focus a lot on the edibles and not enough on the beauty and other beneficial flowers that that my garden can benefit from. So this might be the year that I'll start adding more flowers to my garden, just because I really need to, and I think it would look beautiful. So I'm just gonna add a few of these marigolds anywhere I think would look nice and would be near some vegetables so they can benefit from each other. And as you guys know, sometimes I just stand around and think, because I like to visualize what I'm doing. I like to think, where would things look better, where would things grow better, and how would things flow, and I tend to do that a lot. I think it's very therapeutic for myself when I'm out in the garden, just thinking, dreaming, and imagining everything that's possible in this small garden. I hope you guys do the same thing, because with your imagination you can do so much more. I feel like my imagination has been the driven factor of this garden, and how I have managed to basically fit so much into this small space. I mean, the space that I'm walking in is no bigger than 12 feet by 5. These are the containers I was telling you guys about. I've had them for a while. I had my cousin actually build them for me, but I have not had the opportunity to plant, nor have I decided what to plant on them. But now I'm going to make full use of them, because this is the time, guys. This is the time to start growing as much as you can. I already drilled holes, and what I was thinking about is putting some plastic below it, but afterwards I decided not to. And what I did decide to do is drill holes on each side, and put a little piece of metal to hold the sides together, because what I'm afraid is that with the weight of the soil, this is going to start bowing outwards, and it's going to look kind of ugly, and then maybe not, it won't be as functional in this little spot that I decided to put him in. So I went ahead, with the help of my husband, of course, drill these holes on the side of the containers, take these wires and kind of pin it together like a little retaining belt, and then I went ahead and fill them up and then put them back on the ledge. I grew a lot of bush cucumbers, the compact kind, so I think I'm going to try growing them in these containers and letting them hang over to the side. I'm not sure how well that will work out, but hey, this is a time to experiment, try new things, and see what works and doesn't work. Honestly, trying things and just exploring your garden with your seedlings and other things is the best way to learn. That's like the biggest lesson you can have in the garden, and that is the experience and your experimenting and using your imagination. And this one, I just decided to fill it up while it was already sitting there, because the other one was way too heavy to get on the ledge. So this way it worked out a lot better. If somehow I'm continuing to find space to grow food and vegetables or edible plants in my garden, I am sure even if you're living in an apartment or only have a balcony, you guys can also find space to grow. Even if it's a pepper, even if it's just basil or cilantro, whatever it is that you want to grow, I am sure that you guys can also find the space. So excited you guys came along with my chores and my ideas and everything that I have going on here in the garden. I hope you guys have a blessed day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.